There are talks about the Adani shares everywhere, not just the internet citizens, but also anyone who has even never invested on shares want to know about the Adani stocks now. All this boomed after the Hindenburg research, an investment research firm, revealed that it held short positions in Adani companies through bonds and other Indian non-traded derivative instruments. So to discuss this matter in detail, I'm joined by Palak Shah today. Welcome, Palak.
Thank you.
Can you brief us about the Adani shares short selling issue?
So what has happened is on 25th of January, there is this obscure US-based research firm called as Hindenburg Research, which came out with a negative report on Adani Group, saying that the group is having sky-high valuations, and the key reason behind that is the fraud that the group has done and the inflated, figures and balance sheets and etc. etc. So they etc. So they leveled lot many charges against the group. Now, what happened is, within a few days, the shares started falling. There was a fall on 25th as well, and the shares started falling rapidly. I think from the peak level, all the Adani Group shares are down between anywhere between 40 to 68 or 70% from the peak level. So this, report has created enough controversy in the Indian market and also global controversy since Adani had become a global figure, because of his fast rise in India's business scenario.
So, this short selling of stocks is not only happening in the case of Adani, but why do we see this particular issue to be blown up so much?
Yeah, so what has happened is now, the issue is blown up because the media, then the social media, internet, and every political, uh, you know, person in the country started talking about Adani, going against the businessman. Now that is fine. That's the vicious circle that every businessman has faced in this country. And whenever there is a controversy, everybody jumps into it. Now, what we do is we look at facts. So there are several allegations made by the report, and I'm sure those allegations will be dealt with by the company, by government, by the regulators. They will have their own course of action, which they will do. The story that we did in the business line is about the short selling issue. Now, this kind of a short selling in the Adani Group shares is completely illegal because what Hindenburg says that we shorted Adani bonds and non-Indian traded derivatives. So, you come to India, you play the market on the exchanges that is legal, that is allowed, that is under the country's jurisdiction, SEBI's jurisdiction. You are playing in a regulated environment. What happens is when you go and when you short outside using illegal products that are not allowed, that are banned, or that are not following the Indian laws, now that makes it into a controversy, and that is what something that Hindenburg did, as well as certain high net worth individuals or funds are likely to have done, which is what the initial probe by the government agencies is showing. Because Adani companies had very little float in, listed companies had very little float in India. Now, this is one of the reasons that Adani share price witnessed a massive rally in the past few years. Adani owns, which is completely legal. But there is nothing, no illegality involved. So SEBI laws says that you should have a promoter holding cannot be more than 75% in any of the listed company. So promoter holding in all the Adani listed companies is between 65% to 75%. It is not above. Now, what has happened is there are several other uh, FIIs, foreign institutional investors or foreign investors, or large funds, which own another 10 to 12%. Then there are domestic institutions which hold another 6, 7%. So approximately 90 to 93% or somewhat around shares were actually held by the large institutions, the funds, or the foreign funds, and the promoters, the rest. That left a very little float of Adani shares in the Indian market. Now, this mismatch of shares, that is the demand supply economics that we call. Now, everybody, when Adani was buying, Adani created these ports and he bought ports and airports and he got into several other businesses that we have seen other industrial houses doing in this country. People started, there was a story, there was some kind of an attraction towards him. So when this happened after 2000, say, there are several allegations which I don't want to go into. I want to go into is market operations, what has happened and why this controversy around short selling. So we'll talk about the demand supply mismatch. Now that demand supply mismatch of shares was the key reason behind Adani shares rallying so fast and so much in the past few years, because there was no supply of shares available in the market. So whenever anybody wanted to buy, the prices went up. That was one of the reasons. Now, this demand supply economics you call, or the mismatch you call, was one of the key reasons that you know short selling of Adani shares was a tedious job in India, was difficult in India. So what happened is they created people, investors or traders like Hindenburg, as they are saying, they created positions outside the country, which is completely illegal. You can trade shares listed on an exchange. You cannot go and trade share off the exchange. That is over the counter, which this kind of trade we call dabba trading in India, which is just doing entries in your books and selling that kind. So that's what happened. So what this kind of short selling is, I'll just explain it very briefly. So you are a very high net worth individual or a fund who has got a relationship with a bank or a large broker, a foreign broker who is registered, or whose associate companies are registered as foreign investors in India. You go to them outside India, which is either London or Singapore or US or another tax haven like Mauritius. You go and tell them that I want to short sell Adani shares, which is nothing but I want to take bearish bets on the Adani shares. Now that broker will simply give you a combination of various financial instruments which will have an effect of short selling. One of the most popular such financial instrument is buying put options. So when you buy put options from such a broker, what he does is he charges you a commission and the spread, whatever is there. That commission may be a little bit higher than the usual because you are doing an unusual trade outside the jurisdiction of a country, outside the laws of a country, outside the tax laws of a country, outside the securities market law of a country. So that broker will charge you a little bit of a commission and give you those puts, allow you. Now, when the broker has sold those puts to you, what he has to do is he has to manage his position. That broker is registered, or his associates or whomever he can rely on are registered as uh, foreign investors in India. So what they do is they buy some amount of put in India on the platform to balance their position. So what does this mean? Effectively, this means that the hidden investor, the hidden trader, or the hidden uh, you know person who has gambled on these shares has taken the position, and these FIIs are just the front entities for him. Now they come and start shorting in India. This sort of an arrangement, and then the report comes of Hindenburg, which makes the sentiments negative. Little when the sentiments are extremely negative, there's little bit of push in the derivative markets, and everything goes for a toss. So this was the entire operation that was done by these overseas investors, traders you call them, or manipulators you call them, or whatever. So that part of trading and market operation was completely illegal. And that is the controversy here. Now, what has to be done is the regulators, the government, everybody has to probe this, because this questions the integrity of India's market. To the world, it means that it is so easy to short Indian markets outside the country.
So before we close, what do you want the investors to wait for? Like, what are their moves should be?
Investors, what investors should do? Investors should take an informed decision. Our markets are well regulated. There is no problem with the markets. So what I am saying is SEBI should put out entire data. If not the names, at least you put out the data of how many short selling positions were outstanding for the past 2 months in Adani, in Bank Nifty, in Nifty, market wide positions. You put that out. So because this is such an event that has happened, this is a historic event that has happened for the first time in say many years, many decades. So I think that's the need of the hour.